Hello, Tony here, back on my channel once more on the Wednesday slot for another box opening. And for this box opening, we're going to be taking a look at the first new set release of the year, containing Nuns with Guns, Truck-kun's greatest hits, and Japanese art thugs. Today, we're going to be opening Grand Creators. So to provide some context, Grand Creators is the next in a long line of what the OCG calls deck build packs. These sets commonly contain the initial frameworks of 3 new archetypes that Konami intends to develop in the next few core sets. For Grand Creators, we have 3 really cool themes in play. The first is the highly anticipated Brave archetype, based on the Isekai concept. The second is the Exo-Sister archetype, based on the really weird interest anime has on cute nuns. And the last is the Punk Archetype, an archetype with 3 distinct playstyles and perhaps the craziest artwork to date. Not only that, Grand Creators also brings the result of our Create a Card contest into the game with a plethora of Inzektor reprints and an all-new card. And these are some of the things I hope to be able to hit as I get through this box opening. Anyway, I've droned on enough. Without a further ado, let's get into the box opening. Popping off this plastic here, as always, I will be pausing intermittently as I hit certain cards in the set to talk more in depth about them. I think this gives players a more deeper mindset and uninformed understanding of what's in this set, as well as what cards are worth chasing for. Anyway, getting into our first pack here. Our first pack is going to have 1 Dunel, the Noble Arms of Light. Yes, the Brave archetype for some reason has a Noble Arms, so there's some support linkage there. 1 Castel, the Sky Blaster. 1 Breath of Resurrection as our first super rare. 1 Inzektor Hornet. 1 Inzektor Exabeetle. 1 Starlit Papillon, and a Zarlum, the Dark Palace. So far, 4 cards for the Brave archetype, 2 cards for the Inzektor archetype. This is an interesting start. Our next pack is going to have a Ties of the Brethren. I believe this is meant to support the Extra-Sisters. We have the only Virtual World monster in this in Virtual World Hime Nyan, 1 Extra-Sister Stella, 1 Inzektor Hornet, 1 Extra-Sister Irene, 1 Starlit Papillon, and an Armory Call. Alright, moving on to our next pack here. We have 1 Virtual World Hime Nyan, a Joryoyu Punk Nashiwaru Surprise, our first Punk card, an Xyz Universe in Super, I believe this is the first time Xyz Universe comes foil, 1 Insect Imitation for the Inzektor support, a Dracoback the Rideable Dragons as a Brave support, an Armory Call for most likely Brave support, and a Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Shark Kusai. So the Punk archetype, just as a heads up, is actually split into 4 sub-archetypes depending on different art styles, and that creates a very interesting way of how you play the deck. We have another Dunel, the Noble Arms of Light, an Inzektor Ladybug in an upgraded rarity of Rare, a Gagaku Punk Wagong, a Psychic Trekker, a Hidden Armory, an Extra-Sister Armament, and an Inzektor Centipede. Moving on to our next pack here. This pack is going to have 1 Emergency Teleport, 1 Virtual Hime Nyan, a Super Inzektor Dragonfly. This is really nice because it now pairs with the Hornet and the Super Centipede from Astral Pack to have a full super set. 1 Hidden Armory, 1 Psychic Wielder, 1 Armory Call, and 1 Extra-Sister Caspatel. I'm not gonna lie, I'm in love with the artwork for the Extra-Sisters. They're very dynamic and they're just really nice as Xyz. It's just a shame that not all of them come foil. We have an Emergency Teleport with a bit of nick there. We have another Castel, the Sky Blasting Musketeer, an Extra-Sister Vadis, probably the only trap for the Extra-Sister deck, Inzektor Exabeetle, Psychic Wielder, Starlit Papillon, and another Inzektor Exastag. Alright, we're about, I think, 6 packs in, but no hits just yet. Hopefully we'll hit something so I can pause. We have a Ties of the Brethren, a Goki Pole, a Dracoback, the Rideable Dragon. Oh, I revealed it just there. A Forest of Lost Flowers, and our first ultra rare in Extra-Sister packs. Now this is the Searcher for the deck, and seeing as I pulled it, I think this is a good time for me to pause to talk about the Extra-Sister archetype. While many opening Grand Creators this week are aiming to open the highly competitive Brave archetype, a subset of these players have been equally anticipating the arrival of the next waifu archetype to grace this game in the Extra-Sisters. Modeled after the highly marketable concept of cute warrior nuns from popular IPs like the Greyman's Lanala Lee, Fire Force's Iris, and a certain magical index, the Exorcister are a group of curl pairs that transform into majestic warriors of light in the face of the undead and unholy. Each of the Exorcister monsters share a trigger effect to immediately Xyz summon an Exorcister Xyz monster using just themselves as material whenever your opponent would move a card out of their graveyard. Now, this would initially come off as a highly restrictive concept, but if you really took a moment to think about it, this is not a hard condition to get off. Given the rather vague wording behind this activation condition, the Exorcisters trigger off of a number of common graveyard manipulation strategies that almost every deck makes use of. From adding back cards to banishing cards for cost, the Exorcisters can practically always find a moment against almost every deck to trigger their effects. Supporting this are their Xyz counterparts. Each of their Xyz come packing with built-in protection of some sort against monsters summoned from the graveyard. More importantly, these Exorcister Xyz monsters gain additional quick effects on the turn they are summoned using an Exorcister monster. This effect is to make them direct disruptive threats on both yours and your opponent's turns when they are summoned off of your main deck Exorcister effects. Furthermore, even without this unique concept, the Exorcister are adept at just making their Xyz on their own. Half of the Exorcisters come with extension effects, while the other half come with draw effects. Stacking onto this are the ignition effects of your Xyz, which either search you cards or apply aggression. This makes this deck just as good playing on your own turn as it does playing on your opponent's. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of the deck is their support. In this wave alone, the Exorcisters already have an available spell to search the entire archetype, a quick play to let them Xyz on the opponent's turn, a continuous spell that adds a layer of lockdown to your Exorcister transformation effects, and a trap that can summon a pair of Exorcisters directly from the deck. These concepts make this deck not just a cute archetype that I imagine any weeb could love, but also one with a ton of meta potential that any meta player can come to love. Returning to our opening here, we then have one Exorcister Patel and an Inzektor Hopper. Okay, so far one out of the 3 new archetypes covered. Hopefully we'll pull a different ultra rare to cover a different archetype. One Inzektor Ladybug, one Castel, the Sky Blasting Musketeer, one Magicore Warrior of the Relics, one Insect Imitation, another Exorcister Irene, a Solemn Strike, this is actually a decent reprint, and a Zarlum the Dark Palace. Moving on from there, we have one Emergency Teleport, one Goki Pull, one Thunder Discharge, one Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, and another Exorcist monster, this time being Exorcister Michaelis. Cool. Given the amount of ultra rares for this archetype, we might do a deck profile on that. Look forward to that. One Inzektor Exostag, and a Gagaku Punk Wild Picking. Weirdly, we haven't pulled a lot of Punk cards. Shocking that we only have 3 of them, but hopefully we'll put something better. One Inzektor Swords Excalibur, a Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Rising Carp, a Super Inzektor Felena, one Hidden Armory, another Torrential Tribute, and a Gagaku Punk Wild Picking, as well as another Zarlum the Dark Palace. Alright. Moving on from there, we have another Dunel, the Noble Arms of Light, a Joryu Punk Nashiwaru Surprise, a Joryu Punk Madam Spider, a Risebell the Star Adjuster, another Torrential Tribute, an Exorcister Armament, and another Inzektor Hopper. I believe this set is supposed to come with 3 to 4 ultra rares, which means that we only have maybe 1 or 2 hits available, not including collector rares. We have one Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Rising Carp, a Exorcister Carpe Diem, I think this is a play on Carpe Diem, one Exorcister Ellis, one Thunder Discharge, one Forest of Lost Flowers, a Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Shark Kusai, a Gagaku Punk Shark Crash Beat. Alright, trying to skip through this. We have a Castel the Sky Blaster, kind of nicked there. Another Virtual World Hime Nian, a Exorcister Asophiel. This is actually one of the better Xyz, shockingly enough, so it's cool that it only comes as a super rare of all things. One Exorcister Irene, one Psychic Tracker, one Inzektor Exostag, and Gagaku Wild Picking. Alright. No, I messed this pack up. Alright, finally freed the pack. We freed the pack. Cool, got it. 1 Goki Pole. If you didn't have your Goki Poles for Beat Trooper before, you now have them now. 1 Extra Sister Carpe Diem. 1 Extra Sister Jabrine. I think we now have all 4 of the Extra Sister Xyz. 1 Inzektor Hornet. 1 Inzektor X-Stag. A Inzektor Centipede. And another Extra Sister Caspatel. From there, we have 1 Inzektor Swords Excalibur. 1 Emergency Teleport. 1 Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Dangerous Gabu. A Rise Bell the Star Adjuster, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 1 Extra Sister Armament, and another Gagaku Punk Crash Beats. Alright, we're a bit over halfway through, and so far still nothing but Extra Sister cards. 1 Zector Swords Excalibur, 1 Extra Sister Carpe Diem, 1 Xyz Universe, 1 Inzektor Hornet, 1 Forest of Lost Flowers, 1 Starlit Papillon, and another Gagaku Punk Crash Beats. Alright, next up, this is another Goki Pole, a Castel the Sky Blaster, another Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 1 Torrential Tribute, and ooh, our third ultra rare is a Water Enchantress of the Temple. Now, unlike a lot of other water goddesses, which can be useless, this is very useful for the Brave archetype, and seeing as I pulled it, this is a great time for me to pause now to talk about the Brave archetype. Isekai. Translated from Japanese as different world, the isekai is a popular genre within anime. Following the timeless formula of being transported to a fantasy world to become their hero, the isekai genre has seen no end to its success as huge IPs like Re:Zero, Sword Art Online, Inuyasha, and even Digimon continue to receive sequel after sequel in the yearly anime cycle. So it comes as no surprise that Konami would try to adapt that concept also with the highly anticipated Brave engine. Now, to clarify, the Brave archetype isn't an archetype. In fact, it's actually a series of unrelated cards linked to the support to an adventurer token. These cards, representing the different fantasy elements common to an isekai, are meant to aid the adventurer token, i.e. you, in your quest to slay the demon lord, i.e. your opponent. And for a deck revolving around that token, the deck is actually incredibly functional. Starting with your literal invitation to the other world with the Rite of Armistice, you enter the field as this adventurer token and immediately embark on your fated journey. Along the way, you'll gain useful armaments like Dunal, the Noble Arms of Light, and Starlight Papillon, equips that boost your strength or weaken the various monsters the opposing Demon Lord might throw at you. You'll also gain allies in monsters like a Walking Omni-Negate in Wandering Griffin Rider and a Searcher in the Magical Relic of Ancients. Even the goddess who initially wields the Rite of Armistice will occasionally come into play to assist you. This all culminates to create a playstyle that has just as much consistency as it does have lore. But I imagine most of this will never be known. See, while this archetype does do a fantastic job weaving theme with play, the main focus of this deck for many will be this deck's use as an engine in various decks. Utilizing the Rite of Armistice, you will gain the adventure token to set your fated journey. The fated journey will then allow you to grab a Wandering Griffin Rider to ultimately create a very compact negation engine that operates independent of any other play. Pair this with the Aqua Enchantress that can search your Rite of Artemisia, and you have an 8-card engine that you can slap in a variety of combo decks to guarantee insulation against interaction. A sad fate indeed to see such a cool archetype be regaled to simply a backup engine. But fear not, I imagine we'll be seeing Truck-kun on this channel very soon. And this time, he'll guarantee a full story for all who wish to see, whether you like it or not. Returning to our polls, we then have 1 Solemn Strike and a Gagaku Punk Wild Picking. Alrighty. I believe with 3 Ultra Rares covered, we may not have any more hits, but pray for it. Maybe we'll get a Collector Rare. 1 Dunel, the Noble Arms of Light. 1 Virtual World Hime Nian Nian, 1 Extra Sister Jabrine, 1 Extra Sister Irene, 1 Extra Sister Exa Beetle, 1 Extra Sister Armament, and 1 Exorcist Inzektor Exastag. Did I just call it Extra Sister Exa Beetle? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. 1 Inzektor Ladybug, 1 Dunel, the Noble Arms of Light, 1 Gagaku Punk Wagon, 1 Hidden Armory, 1 Inzektor Hornet, 1 Zarlem Dark Palace, and 1 Inzektor Hopper. Alright, I think there's only 4 packs left in this box. If we're gonna get anything, we're gonna get it soon. 1 Joryu Punk Nashiwaru Surprise, another Exorcistic Carpe Diem, 1 Exorcistic Jabrine, 1 Riseball the Star Adjuster, 1 Torrential Tribute, 1 Gagaku Punk Crash Beat, and 1 Armory Call. Alright, next pack. 1 Goki Pole, I think we have a playset now, 1 Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Rising Carp, an Inzektor Pico Falena, a Psychic Wielder, a Risebell the Star Adjuster, another Exorcistor Caspatel, and an Inzektor Hopper. Okay, I was incorrect. We actually have 5 packs left, so this is going to be the third out of the 5 packs. Another Inzektor Ladybug, an Inzektor Sword Excalibur, another Magical Warrior of the Relics, 1 Psychic Tracker, 1 Torrential Tribute, 1 Solemn Strike, and 1 Yu-Gi-Oh Punk Sharkusai. Okay, second last pack, the last pack at the bottom of the left. Here we have a Virtual Rohime Nian Nian, 1 Castel Sky Blaster, 1 Psychic Tracker, 1 Psychic Wielder, and our last Ultra out of 4 is a No Punk Ogre Dance. Now, this is one of the cards you play for the Punk Archetype, segmented into 4 different sub-archetypes to allow you to either Fusion Summon or Synchro Summon. And, given that we have now finally pulled this card, this is another time for me to pause to talk about the third archetype, the Punk Archetype. Representing the last of 3 wacky themes in this set, the Punk Archetype is by far the most wild. While the Exorcisters and the Brave archetypes takes inspiration from anime and manga concepts, the Punk go all out to directly base themselves off of various art styles of Japanese art. The archetype is separated into 4 sub-archetypes, each with their own unique but related concepts. The first is the Ukiyo-e style, of which one monster, Sharkusai, focuses on fusion or synchro summoning powerful extra-deck Punk monsters to dominate the field. The second is the Gagaku style, of which a second monster, Wagong, searches for spells that grant offense on the field and protection when destroyed. The third is the Jorubi style, of which a third monster, Madam Spider, searches for traps that apply simple disruption alone, but more powerful disruption when in the presence of a Punk monster. And the last is the No style, of which 3 monsters, 2 of which you see here, Foxy Toon, Ogre Dance, and Zeamin, focus on general access to the rest of these styles. On their own, the archetype can find its place in a variety of different decks as small engines. But combined with the No style, the archetype has a surprisingly adaptable playstyle that can pivot between what is essentially 3 different strategies with incredible ease. This results in a deck that can easily alternate between offense, defense, and combo to keep your opponent always on their toes with how to react. Alright, returning to our polls here, I think this was a great box now. 1 Solemn Strike and 1 Gagaku Punk Crash Beat. Alright, last pack. Can we pull a collector rare to end it all off? We have 1 Joryu Punk Nashiwaru Surprise, 1 Exorcistic Carpe Diem. Oh, well, there we go. There's the answer. We have 1 Gagaku Punk Wagong, 1 Psychic Tracker, a Forest of Lost Flowers, a Gagaku Punk Crash Beat, and our last card, Inzektor Centipede, to finish off our box opening. And that's going to do it for this box opening. So, what are my final opinions? Well, this set is definitely a lot better than the last. Unlike our prior deck build pack in Ancient Guardians, Grand Creators actually has a lot of tested meta potential with the Brave archetype alone. Even more, Grand Creators also rocks a much more creative theme with Exorcisters and Punk compared to Spaceship Bears and Snake Rain the deck. Sadly, given the high rarity pickings of the Brave archetype, with 3 of the core cards being ultra rares, meta players may just want to go for singles as it is functionally impossible to get the entire engine within a few boxes. But if you're a fan of cracking a few square ones with the boys and living life in devout worship of RN Jesus, I'd say that this is a blast for you and a blast for me. Regardless, this has been Tony with a Grand Creators box opening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.